Hello again, once there. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you again to this wonderful and a great day. And I know the Lord has been so gracious for all of you, especially, in taking care of your families and also to ensure that you are healthy so that you can feel of His glory and His grace in your life. Now, today I am actually privileged to share with you one of the greatest principles of what we call self-reliance, and that is what the church has been teaching a lot in many of our members. They understand this principle. Now, there is one thing also I was actually surprised. I didn't know about this, but I was so shocked that the church actually has all this ranch in a place called Central Florida, whereby this farm that there are a lot of projects that the church really does. I wasn't aware of this, and this really shocked me. And I ended up realizing that there are so many ways that the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is teaching its members a lot of things relative to how they're supposed to live and how they're supposed to conduct themselves, and also in their own preparation, especially food production. I heard one of the prophets at one time saying that we need to ensure that we plant our own foods. We need to ensure that we make our own foods and we plant our own foods. If you have a place like a small garden somewhere, ensure you plant your own vegetables, you plant your own things there, because it is more safer that way. And those are some of the principles, my dear wonderful brothers and sisters, I was learning from the church, and I didn't know why the prophet then was saying. And this was a time President Gordon B. Hinckley was saying this. And I didn't know until recently. There was this great hit and outbreak of some diseases that came up that right now, even in my own country, cancer is a big issue. Cancer is a big issue. Some of the foods we eat in restaurants, you cannot actually even trust them. And at one time, somebody was caught. This is actually very surprising. Somebody was caught, using transformer oils to make, fries. He was using transformer oils. The transformer, you know what a transformer is, and he was cooking fries with those transformer oils, simply because they were trying to save or something. And a study was done, and it was realized that a lot of foods people are eating in restaurants, they are not actually made properly. And this was a calling that the prophet was telling. I was reading these teachings, and even at times my elders, quorum president, then will come and teach about these principles in one of the books called Duties and Blessings of the Priesthood. And we couldn't actually understand why, only to realize that these are some of the things that are actually bringing, they're making people get sick. There are some of the foods that are being cooked in some of these restaurants which are not actually proper. So sad to say, when I heard this thing from the news that a person is caught using an electric transformer oil to make fries, this one this one really caught me. And ever since that day, I cancelled that any food that is never cooked in my house, I will never put it in my mouth. I will never eat anything that I do not know how it was cooked and how it came upon to be in my table. And this is something that I'm also learning here, that the church is teaching principles that it shows even by actions. And please welcome and see this wonderful great ranch that the church has in Florida. Please welcome.
Life so varied, any place else might be challenged to show this much natural diversity in a single glance. And it doesn't stop here.
We operate in a natural system. Because we're in a natural system, Mother Nature kind of requires you to operate in a way that's sustainable.
Keep your eyes open during this flyover. The land is about to change. and change again, and again. All of this you see, from the cranes and the cattle to the gators and the greenery, all of it resides within the boundaries of a working ranch and agricultural property that coexists with an expansive conservation operation that requires hands-on attention to detail and experts in the field to manage these precious resources in a delicate dance with nature and the ever-driving demands of a working ranch and agricultural concern. Have you figured out where we are? If you guessed Florida, you're right. Central Florida, to be more precise, owned and operated as an investment farm by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Deseret Cattle and Citrus is located south of Orlando and west of Cape Canaveral.
And liftoff.
More commonly known as the Space Coast. Here, in the shadow of the occasional rocket launch, farmers, cattlemen, and caretakers of what comes naturally have a diverse body of work cut out for themselves.
This is not something that was just a one-time deal for us. We greatly care for our systems that we have on place. We talk a lot about our cattle operations and our wildlife and our treatment of our water as a whole. It's all an integrated system.
Deseret Cattle and Citrus was acquired by the church and developed in the 1950s. David O. McKay was the president of the church at the time, and he believed the church would be wise to develop an enterprise that would be both a good investment and an additional resource to feed people during times of need. The church set out to find the right location in North America, settling on this available land in East Central Florida some 65 years ago.
We open every management team meeting with an opening prayer. One thing that's common in the prayer is a thank for the land, an opportunity we have to be stewards of it, and for the natural resources that we're blessed with.
Part wildlife habitat, part water reserve, part citrus farm, and part cattle ranch. At nearly 300,000 acres, rotating herds is one practice implemented to preserve the future of the ranch. A simple drive along this quiet country road on Florida's Highway 192 is just the smallest part of what has become one of the largest working cattle ranches in the country.
We run about 45,000 cows, and so it is a big, complex ranch. Agriculture is advancing over the last 30 years. We've made significant production increases. And so we've been able to work with a lot of universities on research experiments, on finding ways to be better in production and how we can be better.
Between farming row crops, harvesting oranges from one of the most robust regions of output in the world, grazing lands for herds of cows, producing food that heads for the table from this land requires a lot of space and attention, and with an eye on long-term sustainability. On the ranch, that means taking care of the neighbors that call the ranch home too. More than 350 species of wildlife, including almost 250 species of birds. The ranch runs alongside the St. Johns River for 40 miles. That's just one of the reasons why the ranch created Jug Island, the wetland preserve where stormwater runoff is made cleaner through natural plant filters, while giving birds and animals, many that are endangered elsewhere, a place to nest and flourish, including one of Florida's largest rookeries, where the treasured wood stork is making a stunning comeback from its once endangered status.
Because of the stable production that we have in this rookery here, we're able to help in growing that population and eventually getting them to where they can survive on their own.
I'm a natural resource manager, but I'm a biologist by trade. And the system, the actual act of creating what we did here, there was one benefit in mind, but what the actual true benefits that we got out of it were just exponential. Some of the wintering grounds for the migratory waterfowl that we have here, and this is a destination for them.
But it's not just the wildlife that are looking for a home to nest.
I started as a cowboy here and turned into a cattle foreman and then worked with heavy equipment, and now I'm working with wildlife, security, and forestry.
We put our life in it, and we treat it like it's ours.
Ranch stewards understand their responsibility to look to the future. Florida's growth as an American state is unique and historically fast-paced. That's why there's a new direction in civic planning emerging in Central Florida in favor of more thoughtful growth patterns, and Deseret Ranch is helping to partner in that effort.
The governor of the state of Florida issued an executive order asking for the ranch to plan jointly with Osceola County a sector plan on the ranch itself. And as part of that, he also asked for a task force to look at what corridors should be protected across East Central Florida to allow growth to happen and be accommodated. What that task force recommended, in fact, was that the ranch preserve corridors to make those kinds of connections that we've been able to include in our planning. It's unique in the history of Florida, I believe, for the county and an applicant to jointly work through a sector plan and be co-applicants, if you will, in the application that's going before the county.
This sector plan takes a generational approach to large-scale, long-range planning when it comes to land use, transportation, and water resources.
This is a 2,000-acre reservoir, really central to the ranch. There are a few things that are really remarkable about this reservoir. First, going back to the history of it, this was a state and federal project, and the ranch, Deseret Ranch, actually donated the easements. The ranch, throughout its history, has contributed to really some of these regional water supply projects.
Managers and cowboys know Deseret Cattle and Citrus has a bright future as a working ranch. Their livelihoods depend on the ongoing health of these natural systems.
Generally, when people come out here, they're awed by the beauty of the ranch, by the wildlife that they see, by the vast landscapes. So they're surprised that we're in the cattle business in Florida. So as we've formulated plans for the ranch, we've tried to stay focused on their environmental stewardship.
We're going to take care of the environment, we're going to take care of people, and we're going to do as good a job as we can in cattle production, how we handle, how we treat. And so for us, that is the definition of sustainability.
Wow. I think all our African leaders, presidents, our country presidents, they need to go to the church. They need to visit this place for I think capacity building. I think they need to go check what exactly the church is really doing. You know, what exactly the church is really doing, and this is mind blowing. You know, this is actually mind blowing. You know, I was I was I was shocked. Can you imagine? This is one hell of a project that the church is doing. And that is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Wow. Wow. Thank you very much, my dear wonderful brothers and sisters, for watching, and looking forward to see you again in the next video. Please, if you have any comments, you can drop those comments down there. I'll be more than glad to hear more. And if there is any other ranches like this one that the church is actually operating, please let me know about it, because we are seeking to learn and know what exactly the Lord so requires of us to be. Otherwise, thank you very much. God bless you. Looking forward to see you again next time. Ciao.